You are listening to Arcane Carolinas, an exploration of the Carolinas' folklore, legends, myths, and modern weird. Each episode, we examine the historical context of our topic and aim to preserve some of the stories that help make this part of the world such a fascinating place.
Hey y'all, Michael here. This episode was recorded live in front of a convention audience at Ret-Con in Cary, North Carolina in March of 2024. Many thanks to Ret-Con for giving us this opportunity to record. We love that convention, and we are so hoping to see y'all there in 2025. Thanks for listening.
Now we're recording.
Oh, I like that.
Usually Michael does the technology. Hello and welcome to the final Arcane Carolinas panel this year for Ret-Con 2024.
Yeah.
Year of the Sweat. I'm your co-host, multiple runner-up, Charlie Bushaw.
I'm your other glistening co-host, multi-award-winning novelist Michael G. Williams, and it is very warm here.
Yeah, it's good though. It's tropical.
I like hot weather, so I'm pretty happy, actually.
It's a tropical experience in February.
Yeah.
March. No, we're in March. Right?
Oh, yeah, we are. Gosh.
What is time? But for the recording, you're listening to this probably in September or October. So
Yeah. It's probably hot then, too.
yeah, probably. So, who here has not heard of Arcane Carolinas? Don't be ashamed. Cool. We're all friends then. Okay, we got one.
Yeah.
So Arcane Carolinas is a podcast about folklore, legends, myths, and modern weird out of the Carolinas. This is not that.
We occasionally do something else.
We do something else called Arcane Destinations, where we talk about legends from another area. The reason for that is because we figured out through logs, basically, that people in other states listen to the show. So we started doing random episodes here and there. But there is connective tissue on this story to the Carolinas. Who here grew up ever hearing about a goat man or a goat boy or a goat? Yeah, okay, we got one. Okay, we got some in the back. We got some.
He's like, sheep boy, but
sheep
sure.
boy, whatever. Sheep squatch. That's basically what we're going to be talking about tonight, but out of Kentucky. Hence the title of the panel, Kentucky Fried Goat Man.
Okay, all right.
How you feel about goats, Michael?
Do you mean like in general or in a literary sense or? Here's what I feel. Okay, I'll jump in.
Yeah.
One of my favorite horror movies is The Witch, the one that's spelled like D-V-V-I-T-C-H. And of course in that there is Black Phillip, the goat, who is clearly Satan and is amazing. And I love that movie. And part of what I love about the movie is that it recognizes that goats are too smart.
They are smart.
And there's actually, driving here last night, my husband and I were listening to music, and a song came up from Cake called Sheep Go to Heaven. Mm-hmm. And the chorus is...
It's a great song.
Yeah, sheep go to heaven, goats go to hell.
Yeah.
And I feel like goats, everybody just like knows when you look at them, you see intelligence looking back. And it's not just intelligence, it's malicious intelligence. And so yes. And so I feel like that's part of why goats play such a prominent role in folklore also. Goats in folklore tend to be smart. They tend to be the ones that outwit something. So I like goats. I don't ever want to own a goat, but I like goats.
How do you feel about Goat Man?
I would not want to know that person.
Fair enough.
I wouldn't be opposed to that person, but I would not want to know them.
Well, journey with me
Okay.
to Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, the most populous city in Kentucky. It's got a pretty interesting history that could be its own episode. If Michael were leading this, we'd talk about the history of Louisville, Kentucky for an hour.
We would, possibly. We would.
There is a lot there, but this is a Charlie episode.
Sure.
So you're going to get the nickel version of the history.
I might instead talk about the time I went to a drag theater in Louisville, but
So
okay.
they have a really big art scene.
Yeah, no, of course.
Which I'm going to get to.
Okay.
So it's the most populous city in Kentucky. The first Europeans arrived in the area in 1778, and it served as a jumping off point for further expansion west, as well as trade. It was incorporated as a city kind of late 1828. I would have thought it would have been sooner than that.
I'm going to not launch into an hour of my Appalachian Studies class, and suffice to say, I am not surprised it's that late.
Why?
Because there was basically no infrastructure there, and it was very difficult to physically travel in and out of that part of the country.
Okay.
And by the end of the 19th century, efforts to get railroads in there to be able to strip the place of coal and lumber were being framed as basically attempts to civilize Kentucky.
Okay. See, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
You're quite welcome.
See?
I spent an entire semester on that.
There you go. I had a lot of turmoil in the 19th century.
Yes.
To put it mildly, it was a place of importance on the Underground Railroad due to its proximity to Indiana, which was a free state. Mm-hmm. But there were other ethnic tensions between Protestants and Irish and German Catholics. Mm-hmm. And that led to a Protestant mob attacking Irish and German immigrants in an event that was so bad it was known as Bloody Monday.
Really?
Yeah, 22 people were confirmed to have died.
Gosh.
Yeah. So it was a rough town. In 1861, the Civil War had broken out. During the Civil War, Louisville was a major stronghold of Union forces.
Oh, yeah.
Kentucky did not secede from the Union, although after Reconstruction, returning Confederate veterans took political control of the city.
Oh.
This led to a running joke that Louisville joined the Confederacy after the war was over.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Which is funny, right? Like it's kind of a funny joke. The sad reality of that is that public policies that were implemented well into the 20th century carried the legacy of the Confederacy forward, even leading to a Supreme Court injunction to remove illegal segregational policies. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, turbulent time. But today, the city is known for a vibrant independent art scene, known as the home of Muhammad Ali, the Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and the University of Louisville, Major League Baseball team, the Cardinals, Louisville Slugger baseball bats, and Yum Brands.
Okay.
Yeah, the people that own like a third of everything you see when it comes to food, based out of there.
All right.
Yeah. The classic comedy Stripes was filmed there, which is a favorite movie of mine. Yeah.
Huh. All right.
Basically anything Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, John Candy. Like, I love that era of movies, and they're all in that one. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was also the setting for the 1985 zombie horror classic, Return of the Living Dead.
Yes. That's a good one.
Louisville! Also home to the Goat Man. To a Goat Man, I'll say.
A Goat Man, okay.
Yeah.
Not like the Bunny Man, but a Goat Man.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into Goat Man lore a little bit here later in my outline.
Okay.
About, like, why are there so many Goat Men?
All right.
Yeah. So, the Pope Lick Monster, named, like, for the area.
Right.
Yes. Is a half man, half goat that lives under a train trestle in a corner of Louisville, Kentucky.
Which half?
I don't know, man. I don't have a map in front
Is
of
it
me.
like centaur goat, or is it like goat half top?
I'm getting it. He is said, which is always a great way to start.
People are saying
he puts his victims in a trance and lures them onto or over the tracks to their death.
Oh.
Yes. Various accounts describe him as a pan-type figure.
Oh, okay.
So man top.
Yeah.
Goat leggy bottom.
Yeah.
Bipedal. It would be funny if it was like a four-legged goat with just like a man head.
I mean, that would be freaky.
Hey! Check out my bridge! It's just like flip-flopping around. Like, that would be amazing.
I feel like the screaming goat would definitely apply. Like if it might scream, I might scream. I don't know. We might all scream. It might just scream continuously. I don't know.
So, the top half is shaped like a man with alabaster skin, very pale.
Okay.
A hooked nose with a prominent bump at the top and wide set eyes. Very weird description. Bottom half, two hind legs of a goat.
Right.
Covered in fur. Has long, greasy human hair with sharp horns coming out of his forehead.
Oh.
Yeah. So, like, very much like an evil Pan type figure. Like Satyr or whatever.
And he's permanently like this. This is not a transformational thing.
Yeah. So, the United States of Cryptids, authoritative source, describes the monster as Kentucky Fried Satyr.
Kentucky Fried Satyr. Okay. I like it.
There's really gross descriptions where he's headless.
Ooh.
As if decapitated by a train.
Oh.
So, it's like arms, chest, into goat, walking around, bloody stump.
I would definitely scream at that.
Yeah, I still like the idea of it being like everything's traditional goat, except there's just like a man head where the goat head should be. I just made that up, and I think that's what we're going with for every time this comes up. Haunts the Norfolk Southern Railroad Bridge that spans the Pope Lick Creek and South Pope Lick Road near Fisherville.
So when he lures people onto the trellis, you might be about to answer this question. Is it that he lures them out on the bridge and then they get hit by a train? Does he lure them out on the bridge and push them?
It's always they fall off the bridge, they get hit by a train, whatever. It's not the goat man doesn't attack you. It's almost like a siren. So he'll imitate a voice or have like a siren song that puts you in a trance and you walk up on the tracks and then you're done.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why a goat?
I don't know. We'll get to that.
Okay.
Some accounts say he also will drop from the bridge onto cars passing underneath of them.
Ooh, I love that.
So, already you've got all these different elements from other cryptid lore.
Yeah.
So you've got the hypnotic call of a siren or even the wampus cat's eyes, if you look. So you've got, the hypnosis there. You've got the dropping from a bridge onto a car, like the lizard man from South Carolina.
Yeah.
You've got all these different elements. You've got, again, I can't articulate how many... Okay, I almost let my opinion come out there. I'm just, whatever, I don't care. How many stupid goat man stories there are. Anyway. So, the origin of the legend. Where does the goat man of Pope Lick come from? The trestle was built in the late 1800s. It's 800 feet long, 90 feet above the ground at its highest point. Goes through what's known as the Raleigh-Peterson Educational Forest, which is 98 acres of protected land jointly owned by the city of Louisville and the state of Kentucky. So it's a research forest.
Yeah.
There's a Duke Research Forest nearby. It's just a thing that places do.
And oftentimes that's an avenue into preserving land as well.
The first known mention of an accident on the bridge is from 1909.
Okay.
That is a train crash that wrecked, and I quote, thousands of dollars worth of Christmas toys. I don't know what constitutes specifically Christmas toys, but it was thousands of dollars worth, Michael.
I thought surely you were about to say goats.
Nope. A beam fell off the bridge and hit the locomotive.
Oh, geez.
That was recorded in the Louisville newspaper, the Courier Journal. So that really happens.
Okay, yeah.
So there was a big
That's real history.
Yeah, big train accident. The monster was not mentioned in any accounts of the bridge until the 1960s. And the wooded area and the trestle's age make it look abandoned, but it is still active. And according, again, to the United States of Cryptids, that's what makes it dangerous, because people will wander into the forest, they'll go exploring, whatever, they're having a nice day. It looks like, oh, this is a safe place. It's very much not. Trains still run on the tracks. I cannot state enough for people listening to this later that might be in Kentucky. Please do not go to this place and get on these tracks.
So I was about to say, this kind of sounds like a Bingham's Light situation where we know that there are people who listen and then go to the places.
Yeah.
Do not go there.
Do not do that. That's not a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't go there. Don't go there. Let me rephrase that. I wouldn't go there.
No, I'm saying don't go there.
Yeah, you're saying don't go there, and I'm saying, to be clear, this is not like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I wouldn't even go there because I'm not trying to get hit by a train.
Yeah.
So, very, very possibly, maybe the monster is a cautionary piece of folklore or urban legend to keep people away.
That's kind of what I would just assume, right?
Tell kids, don't go there. The goat man's going to get you.
Yeah, it's like the Vampire Motel.
Yeah. And there are also a few variations on the Pope Lick monster's potential supernatural origins.
Okay. I like a good supernatural origin.
The most common center around what we'll describe as deviant behavior specific to the area, involving hybrid human-goat creation.
What we might call informal science.
Informal science, yes.
Okay.
But, whatever, we'll get back to that. There's another one, and I love a good satanic panic. Anybody who listens to the show knows that any opportunity I get to talk about that era of whatever, that a local farmer was a practicing Satanist who regularly sacrificed goats on his property, and one of the rituals called up a half-human, half-demon goat man who is now stuck in our plane of existence, tormenting people that visit the bridge.
It's like the old story says, don't call up that which you cannot put down. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that farmer probably learned a very painful lesson.
My absolute favorite, though, so I like that one. Mm-hmm. My absolute favorite one is that a carnival train went off the tracks.
A carnival train.
And it was struck by lightning. And the Goat Man was one of the carnival's freak attractions, and he escaped the train wreck and has lived under the trestle ever since, haunting anyone that disturbs his lair.
There's a whole, I don't know exactly what to call it. It's not exactly a genre of story. It's a genre of background to folklore of a circus train wrecked and now the monster lives here.
Yeah.
You get that as a version of where countless local monster stories come from.
This one, according to Ohio State University, was made up as marketing for a local Halloween event called the Danger Run.
That's really funny.
But it's since been incorporated and repeated in like all these blogs and creepypastas, and they're like, no man, what happened? Like, train crashed, Goat Man. It's like somebody that made a Halloween 5K. It was like, no, I made that up. No, I thought it sounded cool. Lightning struck the carnival train.
The lightning is a surprising detail,
The Louisville Encyclopedia has a few more possibilities that are a little less popular. Like, those are all pretty consistent, right? Like, those are the big ones. Some of the smaller ones are a chemist deformed himself horrifically in an experiment and now lives under the bridge. There's a local hermit that was cited and labeled as the monster and just didn't bother to correct anybody and thought it was funny. I kind of love that one.
If there were ever a movie of this episode, I would really need the montage of just like various flavors of Goat Man. Like tumbling past the camera, So anyway,
I love that.
Dude,
it's just some guy. He's like, like the Bigfoot walk and look over the shoulder thing. Like it's like that. But it's just like some guy walking under the bridge, and he's just like, what?
And there's like a guy in a lab coat who like comes around the corner holding the beaker that's like stabbed into his face.
Right, that's the horn.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So there is a writer for Ohio State University's website named Liesl Liembauer. And Liesl has said that it's difficult to say how this spread regionally because it's not saved or widely distributed with regards to the Pope-like monster reports. Like, you can find train wrecks and stuff like that. It wasn't until the 80s that it really, really took off. So the stuff from the 60s, you would like hear about it here and there in folklore, kind of like the Bunny Man.
Yeah.
Right? And then it blew up. So it's almost like one generation made it and then told it to the next generation that took it as gospel. But there are numerous police reports and newspaper articles and just verifiable fact of people getting really hurt there.
Really?
Yeah. It's apparently been a hot spot for decades where people will go to this trestle and wind up dead. Falling off the bridge, getting hit by trains. Like, it's verifiably true.
So that part of it is literally real.
I'm going to give you a number later.
Okay.
By the mid-90s, the bridge had earned its own nickname as the Trestle of Death. Again, do not go to this bridge and climb on it because it's not like the kind of train tracks that you can step off of. You either fall from, what did I say? It was like 90 feet at its highest point?
Yeah.
You either fall 90 feet or you get hit by a train.
Eesh. It's possible that the title of this episode will be Do Not Go to the Trestle of Death.
Yeah. So there was a short film called The Legend of the Pope-like Monster released in 1988, and the cops were really, really mad because it just led to more people going to the bridge. There was an accident as recent as 2016 where one person wound up having to hang off the side to survive. And unfortunately, the person he with was not strong enough to also hang off the side and died. So in response, Norfolk Southern, they've been sued by several of the victims' family over the last 40 years. Norfolk Southern has put up fences and warning signs. The city of Louisville has made it very clear that you will be charged criminally if you're found at this location. That has not stopped people. According to a 2019 article in the Courier Journal, again, local police declined to give a specific count, but an engineer who drove that route for 34 years said he'd been involved in over 40 documented collisions.
Wow.
On the trestle. Not like in his career, like on the trestle.
Good grief. Okay.
So something is drawing people to this spot.
Yeah.
Wow. Common sense would say, if a whole bunch of people are dying, I'm not going to go stand in the middle of the interstate. So, that's what I don't really get about this. I'm like, what is drawing people to this location? Is it hubris?
Yeah. I think that
it can't happen to me.
Right. There's a real danger in all arenas of life. But I feel like to some degree, the paranormal is one where people give themselves more permission to think this because they assume on some level that there's nothing real there. But they give themselves permission to say, but I'm special. And we all are. And we all are also going to get killed if we get hit
there's
by a
very
train.
real danger there. So, like, just even as a symbol of danger from the folklore sense of, like, you tell the kids there's a story of a monster in the woods, they don't go in the woods. Like, there's very real danger there.
I'm going to back up to the beginning of this thought. There was a panel yesterday where we talked about the fact that violations of social norms or like breaking of the rules basically serves two functions. One of them is to reinforce the rule. Like in a story, if somebody breaks the rules, what happens to them afterwards serves either to reinforce that the rule is important or to encourage people to continue breaking that rule. And I feel like every time somebody comes off of that trestle and has not been hit by a train, it becomes more attractive to somebody that they know to go there.
I like that.
I really hope nobody goes there.
Yeah, but let's talk about goatmen in general for a minute.
Okay.
Let's talk about, that's the legend. Those are the after effects of the legend. That's the verifiable fact. From a cryptozoology standpoint, let's talk about goatmen, Michael.
Okay.
All right. So the whole sheep-human hybrid that's been in the human psyche since at least the ancient Greeks, right? You've got pans and whatever. How do you feel about those?
I'm going to attempt to contain this to only a few sentences. One of the most fascinating genres of early horror was late 19th century, like natural horror. And the idea in those stories, and a great example of it is one called The Great God Pan, another one is The Wendigo. The idea being that the natural world is not just a place where humans do not live anymore. It is a place that has become hostile to humans. There are a lot of complicated like lessons and takeaways from that possible depending on the story. But the idea being that basically Pan is the thing that is deceptively human and invites people to their own destruction. And so I find that a really fascinating idea. And because I've read a lot of that kind of horror from the late 19th century, then every time I think of Pan, I either think of that or I just think of a dude who really likes wine and flute music.
Yeah.
He's either really celebratory, right? Yeah, exactly. He's got his little his little Zamfir stuff, and I feel like there's a lot that's like really attractive and celebratory about Pan, and there's also the other side of the same coin, which is like I will use those Pan pipes to lead you off to your doom.
What's interesting for me is the prevalence of Maryland, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. Those are all states that are together. Kentucky, all have goatman stories. Washington State, Wisconsin, Louisiana, Texas, and Maine all have satyr or what they call sheep squatches.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, a writer friend of mine, Gail Martin, wrote a book about in which a monster hunter has to fight a sheep squatch. And when I heard her read from it, I thought, who has ever heard of it?
It's way wider spread than I thought when I started in on this.
Yeah, I don't say that dismissively of her book. I say that like as a, wow, what a weird, obscure idea.
It's very strange. And for me, with regards to cryptozoology, you want to start with the zoology, right? You want to start with what you can explain before you get into what you can't explain. Chimeras exist in laboratories.
Sure.
Right? In nature, in some cases, you can create a hybrid. A donkey and a horse can make a mule.
Yeah.
Right? That mule can't reproduce, whatever. But you can make a mule. The reason that they can hybridize is because of chromosomal similarities. Everything lines up perfect. It's like a 1 in a million shot. You can't mix human and sheep. Doesn't work. They're too different.
So, can I offer an alternative explanation?
Yes.
In a book I wrote, there are a lot of uplifted animals who are basically people with animal features.
Okay.
What if a mad scientist one day uplifted goats so that they had more human features?
Like Dr. Moreau stuff?
Yeah.
So that's great for science fiction.
Sure.
And I know that, again, chimeras have been explored in laboratory setting. They have. That's a fact. The CIA is investing in DNA research. That's a fact. That's still too far of a leap for me, man. I just can't do it.
An indicator of the difference between us is that my immediate thought is, sure, it's scientifically impossible. So if it's real, it must have just not been science.
Well, see, and that was going to be my point, is maybe we go to the fantastical for the explanation
yes, exactly.
of the thousands and thousands of years of this very specific imagery.
Yeah. It's So one of the things last year we talked about was like what makes you believe or not believe in something.
Yeah.
And one of my rules is how omnipresent is it across cultures? How much has something been a concept that has been carried forward across cultures, across time, across peoples? A good example being ghosts. Every culture has a version of ghosts. And for me, that is really solid evidence for there being something there. I mean, I personally also believe in ghosts, but like before I had ever had an experience of what I thought was a haunting, it seemed to me to make sense of like maybe there's a there.
Yeah.
Because so many cultures have a concept of that. And if there is this consistent imagery of a goat person around, well, why not? There are weird things in the world.
So that wasn't a setup. I didn't know he was going to say that. I would propose, for the sake of this discussion and the fact that we're here to talk about weird stuff, that we remove the goat man from cryptozoology, which I'll get into my feelings on that in a minute. We remove the goat man theory from cryptozoology and place it more squarely in a metaphysical realm of like, you know, I don't know, but it can't be explained by modern science.
Yeah, the supernatural.
Supernatural. It's something that people have said they've seen, people have talked about for thousands of years. It's this image. I don't know exactly where it came from. It's just always kind of been there. So why? I don't know. Maybe somebody saw a thing.
Literally, supernatural means it exceeds the laws of nature.
Yeah, so I want to remove the goat man from cryptozoology.
That's fine by me.
Aha, it's official. I just did it. As an authoritative source in a field that has no authoritative sources formally.
Where's your gavel?
I declare that not part of cryptozoology anymore.
Okay.
I've removed the goat man.
I mean, like, so I'm totally open.
How's that for hubris?
Just don't climb up on the trellis to yell that, and we'll probably be okay.
Then that guy climbed up on the trellis and said goat man wasn't real and totally fell off and died because goat man made him do it. That's how that story would go.
That is absolutely. I guarantee you that within 5 years, that will be a story that gets told. It might be because I walk around in Louisville going, did you hear about the guy who said goat man wasn't real and killed him? But I'm obviously open to supernatural, weird, metaphysical explanations to things. And so I'm just like, who says it's not a thought form carried forward by the weight of so many people considering it over time? Who says there aren't goat men that spring into being because so many people think about that or see that image or read a story about Pan or whatever?
So, journey with me
Okay.
to the archives of the godfather of cryptozoology,
Okay.
Ivan Sanderson.
All right.
Do we have any Sandersonian followers in the audience this evening? No?
Give us a brief bio.
Me? All right, Ivan Sanderson is considered, he's the guy that coined the term cryptozoology. He was a legitimate zoologist. Like, that was his job. He would appear on late night talk shows and be like, look at this monkey I found in the deep jungles of wherever, because he was a professional adventurer and actual, like, learned scholar and zoologist. But he also really liked weird stuff, and he got excited at the possibility of weird stuff. So he would write very accessibly written books. To borrow a term from Michael, in somewhat purple prose, you know, a little sensational, because he wanted to draw the reader in to get excited about the possibility of these creatures and also teach them a little bit about zoology in the process. So he wrote a book called Things, and it was full of fantastical things. And then he wrote a second book, a follow-up to that. He wrote a bunch of books, but I'm talking about this particular series called More Things.
I know what I'm going to call my next sequel.
And in More Things, he talked about the possibility of what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And he very explicitly says, like, I am a zoologist. There's only so much time that I have on this planet, and I cannot possibly devote my life to figuring out more than I'm already trying to figure out. But I respect the fact group hallucinations, consciousness is not, are neither are understood, but both are confirmed to exist. Mm-hmm. And the nature in which they interact, maybe it's not hallucinations at all.
Okay, good. I was about to say, I like that except for the hallucinations part.
Right. So he said, he was like, you know, we know that mass hallucinations happen. We know that consciousness exists. What if the intersection of the two means that the hallucinations aren't hallucinations at all, but rather a perception of something specific to those individuals only being able to see it, which aligns with your whole theory as well.
I like this a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he closed out that chapter with saying, but I'm a zoologist and that's a fun idea. Let's go back to talking about this monkey. But I love that he was open to this stuff.
Yeah.
And would like travel the world running down all these different creatures and just finding what he could from locals in the areas.
Yeah.
He never talked about Sheepswatch, to my knowledge.
He didn't have more goat men.
No. But that approach, the Sandersonian approach of, let's start with what we can understand. And then if we can't explain it, let's talk about what it might be.
Yeah.
And like the more you read his stuff, the more you're like, this guy's cool.
I like it. It's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the Kentucky Fried Goat Man. Mass hallucination, collective consciousness manifestation. I don't know, but I am going to remove it from cryptozoology officially at Ret-Con 2024. Sweating to the goat man.
So if there's a Wikipedia page for it, somebody needs to get to Ed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Charlie Mushaw said the goat man is otherworldly.
Expert in goat men, Charlie Mushaw.
I'm as much as an expert as anybody else.
I'm going to bet that if the goat man is real, that there are some people who became experts in goat men very rapidly as they were pushed off the trellis.
Yes. Foremost experts, even.
Yes.
Yes. Shout out to Parasocial Investigations for their help on this episode's research.
Oh, cool. Yeah. They seem to be very nice.
They are. Kindred spirits.
Another thing that I think is interesting to know is that we have so many representations of animals as people. Mickey Mouse, Daffy Duck, Donald Duck, Bugs Bunny, Porky Pig. There are like countless of these. Everything from pound puppies to beanie babies, there are a million ways.
Get back to me.
There are like a million ways to be, that our culture is comfortable with animals doing human-like stuff.
People stuff.
There are no characterizations of goats doing that stuff.
Give me a second. I am racking my brain right now. Really? None? No? I'm
The closest I can think of is the Billy Goat's Gruff.
That's what's popping to mind, but that's not perfect.
And that's a fable about goats being clever.
Right. Yeah. I
think that there is something special in our minds about
we
goats.
are going to get so many emails from big goat advocates.
There's going to be somebody with a goat farm.
They're going to be like, you forgot about Herbert the Goat that aired in 1967 on the NBC morning show. And like, they're going to have that cartoon.
Yeah. And that's cool.
Yeah.
It's sufficiently uncommon in pop culture that we're having trouble thinking of them on the fly. And that's good enough for me.
Yeah, that'll work. Get your own show and talk about goats.
Are other goatmen stories similarly murderous?
Yeah, they're always aggressive and destructive. Like, they're never helpful. Like, every now and again, a Sasquatch will be helpful.
Yeah, there are plenty of stories of Sasquatch being kind, helping people in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Other cryptids, Mothman is meant to be a harbinger of doom to let you know that something bad's going to happen. Aquatic cryptids generally just kind of going about their business. No, the goatmen are always...
There are also like a million stories of Bigfoot just being doofusy.
Yeah.
Like the whole wave of Bigfoot plus UFO sightings in Pennsylvania in the 70s. A lot of those boil down to like a UFO pulls up, like in the sky overhead, and it like comes to a stop, and a little, slider extends, and aliens basically like boot a Bigfoot out, and the Bigfoot just like stumbles around and like breaks a bunch of stuff, and is like, I have no idea what I'm doing on a planet. And then the aliens are like, okay, you've had your walkies, and they like scoop them back up and take them back up into the sky, and it's like it's almost like the opposite of a scary or even intelligent cryptid story. It's like, look, this big dumb animal.
Right.
And I just I'm fascinated that all the goatmen are bad.
They're bad and they're not real.
But they might be unreal. Yeah.
I'd buy that. I'd buy that there's some sort of malevolent supernatural entity before I would buy that there is a human goat chimera terrorizing a bridge.
Yeah, I don't think anybody stitched a goat onto a person or vice versa.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody shook the test tubes and mixed them up and put them in the centrifuge, and then 9 months later a goat baby
What
popped
mad
out.
scientist is doing that? You know, to make an excellent hybrid. A goat man.
Here's what I need. Something that will eat anything and everything uncontrollably and is too smart to control. That's going to solve a lot of problems.
Yeah. Nothing useful comes from that.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, cool, thank you.
Yep.
You've been listening to Arcane Carolinas. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. For more episodes, behind-the-scenes information, and links to our social media, check out www.arcanecarolinas.com, where you can also buy the Arcane Carolinas book.
And if you like award-winning horror and science fiction, check out my books at michaelgwilliamsbooks.com. And if you have story suggestions, comments, or questions, email us at arcanecarolinas@gmail.com. And thanks for listening.
I'm pretty sure I know what it does, and we're going to remove that from the edit.
Okay. I was going to be very vague about it.
Yeah, well, well, somebody think of the children. This is what you get at the live episodes. You get you get the innuendo. I don't even know if it's innuendo.
It is.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
All right, then.
I occasionally get paid for words.
I occasionally get told that I don't understand the words that I'm saying.
Don't worry, I get told I don't know how to say them.
Collective manifestation of collective consciousness. Have fun editing that part where I just stumbled over my words.
Could you just say that one more time?